So in this question, we are dealing with the orthographic projection of this Spigot. So that's the sketch and that's the main diagram. So to start with the construction, I started by taking the dimensions. So this is my sketch. So we are doing the side view to the right hand side as given from the question. So in the construction of this, everything I'm taking from vertically upward 9 centimeter, horizontally 21.5. So from the borderline upward, I mark 9.9 centimeter rather. So I mark 9 centimeter downwards. From the borderline downwards, I mark 9 centimeters. From the left hand side, I mark 9. From the right hand side, I mark 9. So that we can be able to centralize the drawing and making sure that the space is enough for what we're about to draw. So then horizontally, I mark 21.5 also. So with 21.5, I join together also vertically. So I have my horizontal and the vertical line as this. So it's from this line is what I now proceed to get the marginal lines. So I get marginal lines of 0.5. Then also for the vertical, I join it together horizontally. Then for the vertical line also, I get my marginal line of 0.5 also, left and right. Then from any point also left and right, I join it together as you can see from the video. So the point of intersection, I join it together with a ruler. So I join together with a ruler, then I take my protractor. So upward from the middle point, which you can see from there, I got my 45 degree to my right hand side. That's to the upper right corner. So I join together with a ruler as fence line. So this is the basics for me to get my orthographic projection. So now I started with the dimensions for the front view. So up there we are going to have our plan. This is third angle projection. Up we have our plan. Down we have our front. Then to the right hand side we are going to have our side view. So I started with 20.5 to the left. That means from the third line of that marginal line, 20.5 left, 20.5 left. I join together as a straight line. So that first dimension is 20.5. That is the total length of the front view and the plan, 20.5. Now from the sketch, as you can see, that which one, the one I dropped earlier from the video. So I take 6.4, 1.2, and 2.5. Again, 6.4, 1.2, 2.5. Then from the right hand side, I take 2.5 and 2.5. So that everything can be 5 at the right hand side there. So 6.4, 1.2, 2.5. While from the right, I take 2.5 and 2.5. So that will be 5. So I join together as fence line. So joining them together as fence line for the vertical pass there. Then I proceed to the next one. So I try to make the lines thicker so that you can be able to see the lines more accurately. So after that, I proceeded to taking the other vertex which I can have from the diagram. Now at the same right hand side now, I should have 32 in the middle of 50. I find the difference divided by 2. So I mark 1.9, 0.9, yeah, 0.9 and 3.2, that's what I did. 0.9 and 3.2. You know, from the first vertical line of that margin. So 0.9, then from that 0.9, 3.2, that's what I did. 0.9, 3.2. Now also, 12 in the middle of 50. I find difference divided by 2, that's 1.9. So I mark 1.9, then 1.2. So I mark 1.9 there. From that 1.9, I mark 1.2. So that's what I did up and down there. Everything from that same vertical line of that margin, I also joined together as fence line. Now I proceeded to the left hand side. The middle of that hollow part there is 2.6. So it's 2.6, but after the 2.6, the circle itself is of diameter 12. That means of radius 0.6. So I firstly mark 2.6 centimeter. Then from that 2.6 centimeter, I mark 0.6 left and right. I mark 2.6 from down. You can see the line I marked from is there where I got my 20.5, that last line, not the border line. So 2.6, then 0.5, 2.6, 0.6 left and right. So that's what I did. I joined together as straight vertical line. Then I proceeded to the side view, which is going to be at the right hand side of the front view, according to the question given. So firstly, I have 7.6. The half of 7.6 is 3.8. I marked 3.8. I do the same thing upward. I did that from that last line of the marginal line there at my right hand side. So I joined together to that slant line that we have up there. So after that, I now start by taking the horizontal distance that we can have in the old diagram. So I started from the plan, which will be up there. So totally everything is 7.6. So I mark 7.6. Now after 7.6, the midpoint of 7.6 is 3.8. So I just mark 7.6 and 3.8 midpoints. 7.6 and 3.8 midpoints. I join together horizontally to intersect to the slant line, which also intersects with the line that comes from the side view, which I have from the diagram there. Now horizontally, 66 has to be in the middle of 76. So the difference there is 11. Half of 11 is 55. So that's 0. Half of 11 is 5.5. So that's 0.55 centimeter. Dimensions are given in millimeter. So in centimeter, that's 0.55 centimeter. So I take it from that 7.6 down, then from the lower line of that marginal line up. You can see the line, I take it from there. I join it together horizontally. From 7.6 down, from the lower line of from the marginal line, that third one, I take it also up. So to get that. Then also 48 has to be in the middle of so I did 48 in the middle of the other shape there. 48 in the middle of 76. So difference is 28. Half of it is 14. So I take 1.4. From upward, 1.4. From upward, that's 7.6. Everything from up, 1.4. From down also, 1.4. You can see the line I start with. The third line there of the marginal line. So 1.4, 1.4. I join together horizontally. 1.4 from that 0.6 up, downwards. Then 1.4 from the marginal line up. I join together horizontally. 1.4, 1.4. Now after the 4.8, the next thing is to get a part of 3.2. So in middle parts, we've gotten the outer part, which is 48 now. Now the middle parts that we also have there is 3.2, 32 centimeter. So 32 has to be in the middle of 76. So I check the dimension. So 32. So instead of taking that, I just divide it by 2. 32 divided by 2, that's 16. So 1.6. I already have the midline, that midline of 3.8. So I take 1.6 up, 1.6 down. I do the same thing at the right hand side. I join it together. So that means I've gotten my 32 at the center. So I've gotten my 32 at the center. Now getting all these lines helps you to get your work faster and more accurately. So I join them together as faint line, the 1.6 and 1.6. Next, I'm going to have 2.2 and 4.4 from this place up and down. So from up there, I already have my 2.2 if you measured. Then from that point of line of 2.2, then I mark 4.4 downwards. From up there, which is 7.6, if you measure it down, I already have my 2.2 also. Then from that 2.2, I mark 4.4. So I join it together as faint line. Okay. Next, I now go to the front view and the side view. So everything in total is 88. And half of 88 is 44. So I mark 8.8 and I mark 8.8 at first. So 8.8 and 8.8, I join it together as faint line. So after the 8.8, I started by marking 1 centimeter, because 66 in the middle of 88, difference is 20, right? The difference is 22. So half of 22, that's what 1.1. So it's 1.1 I marked there. So 1.1, 1.1, 1.1 downwards, 1.1 upward. That's what I joined together. 1.1 centimeter. 1.1 centimeter. Now also 32 has to be in the middle of, so I do 32 in the middle of 66. Difference is 34. Half of it is 1.7. So from the 1.1, I did 1.7 down. From the 1.1, I did 1.7 up. 1.7 down, 1.7 up. From the 1.1, not from the last line, but from the 1.1, I added 1.7, 1.7. And I joined together horizontally. 1.7, 1.7 distance. I joined together horizontally. Next, I proceeded to the next part. Now to get the mid of 8 is 44, so that's 4.4. So from this line, which you can see there, which is the third line of the marginal line, I take 4.4 down. If you take it from down to that point, it will also be 4.4. So I take 4.4 down at the other side also. If you check, it will also be 4.4. I join it together as faint horizontal line. Now, with me getting all these lines, it means I'm good to go with getting the diagram. Now let's start getting the thick lines one after the other. So we started from, I started from my front view, then I take it to my plan. Now, this is the middle line there, but the next line to it, so we are marking these points. We join it together as thick line. I'm sure you can see it from your diagram there. You know the three lines that we have, the marginal line. So you start from the lower one. Then I step it down to this other line. I join it together, thick line. Then again, I step it down to the next line to it. I join it together to the extreme end of that 20.5, that last line. Not the border line, but that last line there. So I join together as thick line. I did the same thing upward. I leave a line, then start from the next one for my plan. Then I draw it up, not to the border line, but the line before it. Then also, I step it down once. Yes, I step it in once. I also join, just like the front view. I join together also vertically, thick line. But now, for the next one, so I step it down. From up, I step it down once, but from down, I step it down twice. So I join this two thick line. There's a line there, a faint line there at that down part that I did not join. Make sure you are observant with that. But for up, I join the two. For down, I join two, but there's a line down there. At the left-hand side, I join this place that I can see as broken line. So from here as broken line, at the left-hand side there, which I have already. But now, I now proceeded to getting the circle that I have at the plan there of radius 0.6 centimeter. That's the midpoint. Then I draw my circle. So from the plan, we can see it as a circle, right? But from the front view, we can't see it as a circle. So we indicate with a broken line to show that there is a hollow part through that structure over there. So I draw my circle. Make sure your circle, when you draw it, you have just as a line, no double line. So that's conclude the left-hand side of the front and the plan. Now I proceeded to the front view. Now we have three different radius. So 5, that's 2.5, 3.2, that's 1.6, then 1.2, that's 0.6. So firstly, with the radius of 2.5, I try to locate the midpoint there. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth line there, that's the midpoint. So I draw my circle of radius 2.5, the fourth line, which you can see there. Then from the same midpoint, radius of 1.6, I put it at that same point, the fourth line. I draw the other circle, that's radius 1.6. Now with the radius of 0.6, at the same midpoint also, I put it at the point, then I draw the third circle. All these three circles being thick. Now I now take my ruler to get lines tangential to them. So I join this tip to this down part here as a thick line, and I join the other one down there to the other point also as thick line. Now after this concludes the front view. Now going to the plan now. Now going to the plan, I started with this same line that we have there from those 2 points. I take my compass, radius of 0.6 to get arc. So I mark the 2 intersection there, then I mark another arc from those 2 intersections, then from that point I get the arc that joins them together. First thing is to put it at the points, get 2 intersections to the lines that make the points. Now where the 2 arc is meeting, put it at the first point, get an arc, second point, get an arc. Now the two new arc, now you now put it there again to now get the arc that intersects with them. I hope you get that part. So that gives you the arc of radius 6 centimeter. Radius 0.6 centimeter rather. Now I join that point to the third line there, the third line from the right there, the third line of the marginal line there. Then I take the 5 centimeter down. I have the line already. No, the 4.4 centimeter down. Then horizontally the 5 centimeter. I have those lines already, which you can see there. Now at this midpoint there, I will also take another arc, which for those arc you can also use a French curve if applicable. So I also get the arc there, which will be in this form. And after that, I join it together to the other arc there as straight line. Then for the other parts here, I also need an arc. I get 2 arc intersection. Then at the 2 intersection, get 2 other new arc. Then from the 2 points of intersection, I join another arc there. Then I join it downwards. So making sure that arc is visible and not a double line. So I now join it to this tip here. Next is to get the the broken line in between. Now from this line, so 3 mm from this line, I mark 3 mm, I mark 3 mm. So I join it together as thick, firstly as faint line, but I now take my other pencil, I join it together as thick broken line. The 3 mm up, 3 mm up, I join it together. You can see that the length is the same thing as the other circle there, the other middle circle. But for the last smaller circle, in between this plan is going to be a thick broken line all through. The O goes all through. It will start from that tree to the end. So that's for the plan. Then we go ahead to get the side view. Now the side view, I firstly join everything together as a rectangle. You can see the points I mark out. So joining the rectangle together as thick line. The rectangle there is 7.6 by 8.8 if your dimension is correct. So I get my rectangle there. Now after that, I get a midpoint. There's a midpoint there which I'm going to make use of with my compass. Now for my compass, I take radius. The diameter is 6.6, radius of 3.3. The other one is 4.8. That's radius of 2.4. So at first, I take radius 3.3. I put it at that midpoint, this line here. So I draw a thick arc, or a thick circle rather. So of radius 3.3 centimeter from this point, making sure the circle is thick. So radius 3.3 for that midpoint. So to get the first circle. Now then, to get the second circle, I take radius of 2.4, which is half of 4.8. So with the radius of 2.4 centimeter, but as faint one. Now in between here, where this line meets, I join that thick line, not the center, but the other two. Then I take my compass again to thicken the left and thicken the right arc, so that I can have this figure. So having this figure now, and I proceed to the other parts. Now the other broken lines that are necessary in this part is what can be seen from the side view, but we have to note them that they are there. They cannot be seen, but we notice that they are there. Now what are those things? Now I started with this other side of the plan. Yeah, that's 2.2. I marked 2.2 and 2.2 and 3.2. Yes, so I marked 2.2 and 3.2. I join together as faint line and I extend it upwards. As you can see there, it will intersect with that one that comes from the plan, and also that also. So 2.2, then 3.2, that's what I did. But in between now, it will be a thick broken line, not continuous line, thick broken line, to indicate that that part cannot be seen, but it is there. So thick broken line for those two vertical lines there. Next, I proceeded to the hollow part there that cannot be seen, that's from the left. So that's 0.6, 0.6, yes, 0.6 centimeter. I join together as fence line. Now, in between these small parts here, it will be a stick line. You can see that place there. In between, a stick line, a stick line, a stick broken line, thick broken line. Now, for the next part now, those other parts from the plan, yes, that cannot be seen also, I will also indicate them here at the side too. Now, horizontally, let's say the distance 50 in the middle of 88, then divided by 2. So I take 1.9, I take 1.9, 1.9 and 1.9, and I join it together as fence line. 1.9 centimeter. So I join as fence line. So that intersects with the edge of that circle that we have there from the front view. But the horizontally, the distance from here is 4.4. Where did I take it from? I take it from that last broken line I did, 4.4. I join it together. That distance is 4.4. That's what I did. So in between there, it will be a stick line. That small part, if we should find the distance, 4.4 minus 3.2, that gives us 1.2. So that small part there is 1.2. Then I take 0.3 inward, 0.3 inward on this other line that you have there. I join it as broken line. You can see it's in the same plane with that other line there. So that's what I have here as this. What else? I take 0.6, 0.6 from the middle line so that I can get the other line that comes from the front view there. So I join it in between here to the tree. In between here also to the tree as thick broken line. So this gives me the figure that we need for the diagram. So the next part is for me to now add the dimensions that are needed. I'm sure you know that for all constructions, in one way or the other, you must add your dimension. So being it an orthographic or isometric. Now for this, I try to put the dimensions one after the other. Now a quick explanation. In this diagram, we are given a spigot and we're asked to draw it in third angle projection. In third angle means the plan will be up while the front and the end view will be downwards. But now we are asked that from the question, we are asked that the side view to be to the right hand side of the front. The side view is to be to the right hand side of the front. That's why we place it here. But if the question doesn't specify where to place it, now if you are viewing your side view from the right, that means you are placing it to your right. And if you are viewing your side view to your left, that means you are placing it to your left. That is for third angle only. But in this question, otherwise, we are asked to place it to the right hand side of the front view. So that's why I place it there. But for first angle projection is opposite. In first angle, first of all, the front and the side view will be up while the plan will be down. Now in first angle, if you view the front view from your left hand side, you are going to place it to your right, and if you view it from your right hand side, you are going to place it to your left. That one applies only to first angle orthographic projection. But for third angle, you leave it to the side that you view it from. For third angle, if you view it from your left, it will be at your left. If you view it from your right, it will be at your right, unless otherwise stated. So in this question, we are asked to place it to our right hand side. So we put the dimensions one after the other. Now that symbol there for the circle, that symbol shows the symbol for diameter. So when you have the diameter, you use that symbol to represent your diameter. So the diameters for the three circles we use there, that's 50. We use 50, we use 32, and we use 12. Dimensions all given in millimeters. Then the total length of our front view is 20.5. Total length of our front view is 20.5, while the total height of our front view is 88. That's 8.8. For our plan, the total length of our plan is also 20.5, while the height of our plan is 7.6. And for our side view, the total length of our side view is 7.6 also, while the height of our side view is 8.8 centimeter. So these are the things that has been done here from one step to the other. Then we get the other parts that are needed in the construction. So the diameter of the circle we used at the right hand side, 66, and 66, and the other one 48. That's 6.6 and 4.8. So that's the dimension, that's the orthographic projection. Do follow for more exciting diagrams.